What is going on, everybody? Cobra back for your Friday Bitcoin analysis roundup. I'm not going to waste any time, nor is this going to be some crazy long, super in-depth 45-minute video, just kind of a roundup of what's been going on since my really long-term in-depth review and analysis of Bitcoin that I did on Monday. So if you haven't watched that yet, make sure that you go back and you watch that video. If you're new to the channel, thank you very much and welcome. Make sure that you hit that like and subscribe button and hit the notification icon so that whenever I come out with a new analysis video, you're always right up to date. With that said, let's go ahead and get right into the chart. All right, so this is the 1 hour time frame. We have had 3 hardcore rejections right off of this trend line, which goes all the way back here to our top at about 14K. So it's not looking too good. We've been kind of stuck in this this little range. We've rejected here off of our other top, and we're just kind of stuck in this range. We were bouncing around. And now we kind of broke down through this. So we've had 3 hard rejections here. And what's happening now is on the lower time frame for this smaller time frame count, while I don't like this wave 1, as this looks like a 3-wave scenario to me, so far this count is playing out and we are reversing here at our wave 4, which did not violate and move into wave 1 territory. So as long as this keeps playing out, I might have to go back and redo this and try and find a better count for this. This might be like a truncated 5th to complete our 1, and this might actually be over here, but I'm gonna have to go on some lower time frames and take a look at that a bit later. If we look at our indicators on our 1 hour time frame, we can see here that we basically are getting a double top on our MACD, which is not necessarily a good thing because we've got slowly decreasing volume and we've got an increasing RSI. So that's not really that good of a thing. That's kind of bearish to me. Now we are in bullish territory here, but our ATR as well, just showing this volatility through this whole movement up, even though we had all these liquidations in here, is just really starting to die off. So this definitely looks bearish to me, especially coming into a weekend where there is historically lower volume, unless it was like a week or two ago when we were going into the halving and there was unusually higher volume due to that major news event. So if we move up here to a 4-hour chart, and I'm actually going to switch charts here over to this where my support and resistance lines are. So we've had this trend line forming. I normally always connect the first 2 wicks. I did that here, I did that here, I did that here. I'll explain this blue line in just a second. And I did that here as well. So we've been rejecting multiple times off of this top trend line and kind of forming this like wacky triangle. Now, triangle would actually technically be formed using this trend line is obviously invalidated now. We used it as support, we broke through it, and this trend line doesn't really have to go all the way over here. I just did that for sake of example, but it pretty much just goes to about here. And then it stops, right? So all of these points line up pretty well. We were stuck below it for a pretty decent amount of time, and then this was when we formed our monthly low pretty much on this chart. So since then we've just been kind of bouncing up and down, making lower highs, making higher lows. And what I think is happening now is, given that we're kind of in this little mid-range for our for the monthly range right here in this little green box, we're just kind of bouncing around here, and we do have a solid range, but I definitely think that something is going to end up happening relatively soon. Same thing, if you look at our indicators here, we're just kind of like pretty stagnant on our ATR for the last week or two, and it's just in general not looking all that great to me. Now we did bounce off and bounce off the bottom of our lower range here on our RSI pretty clearly. We bounced right off of that here. We kind of popped up, but it looks like we're rejecting off of the top of this box here. So the fact that we're rejecting here and going into a weekend, lower volume, lower highs on our indicators, not in bullish territory by any means, it just leads me to think that we're definitely going to end up seeing further downside. That was also displayed in my Elliott-Wave count. So if we go ahead and take that stuff off and we look at our Ichimoku cloud on this slightly lower time frame on the 4-hour, this is pretty much the third time now that we just tested this 200 EMA. I think that if we start losing support here and, you know, we're rejecting off of our 100 EMA now, it looks like we could potentially go up and either reject off the top of the cloud or off of our Kijun line, and our Kijun and Tenkan line are crossing bearishly right now, which is not a good sign at all. So all of these signs and more lead me to think that we're definitely going to see further downside. And if we don't end up reversing here, which I really don't think we will, when we test this again, we're probably going to end up breaking through it, which is going to lead me to other targets, which I'm about to go over in just a second. Normally, when you have a level, especially an EMA or something of that sort, and it get tested 3 or 4 times, normally that's when you see it end up breaking down, because support and resistance levels get weaker as you test them more, right? So that's kind of a fundamental of support and resistance trading. As you test the support and resistance levels multiple times, they get weaker with each test. So the fact that we've tested this 200 EMA now about 3 times leads me to think that on a 4th try to test this, if the bears are still laying the heavy pressure on and you know, moving their puts lower and lower, I definitely think that this is going to end up failing here. On our daily chart, we're still, see, the daily chart is what makes me a little bit bullish on this, for only really well, 2 reasons, I guess. Is our Kijun line here, the blue line for our Ichimoku cloud, we've been using that as very, very solid support all the way through here, and it's been holding, and it's held again here, and we've used it 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 times now, and it's holding all the way up through this uptrend. Now, if you see in Forex something like this happen, you know, this line could hold for months on end, but Forex obviously is way higher liquidity, and Bitcoin doesn't exactly work like that. Since it's lower liquidity, it's more highly manipulated. So when we come down here again, we're going to be testing this whole clusterfuck of EMA lines here. We've got our 50, our 100, and our 200 pretty much all on top of each other, and then our Tenkan line for our Ichimoku cloud right below that. So between 8,400 and about 8,000, there's a lot of really, really strong support in here, as you can see from looking left on the price action. These really big wicks down here showing that there's a lot of demand down here. These are demand absorbing wicks. So we do have bullish crosses here on our 50 and our 100 compared to the 200. They're all crossing bullishly, which is a good sign. But again, with the steadily decreasing volume and getting lower highs in price, and you know, our indicators not being extremely bullish, we're getting major bearish divergence here on our MACD on the daily time frame, and we're crossing bearishly just below this 0 threshold right here. Normally not really a good sign. The volatility is starting to drop off. We're going into a weekend. The volume will continue to drop off further. So all in all, I definitely think that we're going to be coming down to test at least 8,000 once more, and that would probably not end up holding again, because on the 4-hour chart that would be a 4th test or a 5th test of this 200 EMA, and I would further expect it to break down. And that doesn't say that we have to immediately go right to 7,100 here on the daily time frame, but I would expect to see a level of around 7,700, and here is why. Let's go ahead and take all. Let's see. Take this off. So one of my reasons for that is all of these ranges that I have, right? So we've got our monthly high here, monthly low. That would be a sweep of our monthly low at around 8,000 to 7,700 or so. But the reason why I'm specifically saying 7,700 is because this fib measurement measures all the way from our 3,800 low to our $10,100 top. And that lines right up with about $6,700. Now, for this entire move up over 90 days, going about $7,000 and not even retesting the 382, in the long term for Bitcoin's new bull market, that would not be a very healthy uptrend. We definitely would need to see a retrace between 382 and 0.5, 0.5 being about $7,000. Now, could we stop there? Yes, absolutely. And I think we do have a good chance of stopping there if it happens relatively soon, because that would also be this midline of this whole descending channel that we've had for a long time that I went over in my last video. But the longer that it takes for us to move down that way, the deeper down we can go if we're just going to be testing that mid-range line. But in the overall scheme of things, as long as we make a higher high here compared to this 3,800 low, we could even hit as low as 5K, and it would still be considered a higher low, which would be a very good sign considering that all throughout this entire slow grind down, all we've been making is lower low after lower low after lower low after lower low. That would be a very, very good sign. So I think obviously the longer that time goes on, potentially the deeper that this could fall. But the extreme range that I think the very absolute lowest that I think we would see would be something like 5,500, between 55 and 6,200 or something. But I really think that seeing something between 7K and 7.7 is a lot more likely to complete the correction before a further move upwards. On this weekly chart, this was what I was kind of saying here with this really long descending channel. We're getting kind of a throw over here and we're testing the top of this channel. For the week, we definitely need to close above above 92.50 in order for this to be considered still bullish. Now, there's nothing that says that can't happen. This could be just a major extended first wave, where we just correct this much and we keep going higher to break and sweep our monthly high and potentially retest our 2020 yearly high. That's absolutely possible, but the higher that you rise, the faster that you will fall. So like I said, long term, it would just be healthier for Bitcoin to just retrace right now, sweep 7,700, sweep the monthly low, and then continue up higher. That would be a really healthy wave one, and that could lead us more quickly into having maybe a potentially extended third to not only sweep the monthly and yearly high, but to also go up and test major resistance at 12K before, retesting basically where we're at now, around like the $9,000, $10,000 area. So that is pretty much my outlook for going into next week and what I think is going to happen. On Monday, I'm going to do a small update because Sunday is the weekly close, so I'll do a short video on Monday as well. Like I said, guys, if it's your first time here visiting the channel, I really appreciate it and welcome. Make sure that you like and subscribe to the channel. Give me a thumbs up or a thumbs down. And if you didn't like the video, go ahead and let me know in the comments down below what I can do better. Make sure that you check out all the links in the description. I have a link there that if you want to learn more about Elliott-Wave theory, you can pick up a free copy of Frost and Prechter's Elliott-Wave Principle. It is an e-copy that has been made available for free to me, and I am passing it on to you. Make sure that you check that out. And in light of all of the BitMEX drama with them getting sued by some investors and stuff out in California, if you have not switched over to the Bybit exchange yet, I highly recommend that you do so. As an affiliate with them, if you sign up with my link down below, you can get an extra $90 worth of margin bonus. As always, if you have any questions, you can check the contact links down in the description below. Feel free to reach out if you have any questions or concerns. And with that, I hope that you all have a very happy weekend and trade safe.